Hey everyone, John Klein here, co-founder and lead Amazon strategist with Online Brand Growth. And in today's video, I want to discuss with you the 5 roles that you need for your Amazon growth team. A lot of brands and manufacturers watching this, probably leveraging some people from your marketing team, from your operations team, and kind of like piecing it together as best as possible for the Amazon side. Or maybe you're a solopreneur who's kind of just doing everything on your own. Maybe you have one VA, like kind of a generalist, but hopefully this video will serve to kind of crystallize in your mind the different specialties that you need moving forward as you grow and scale your Amazon business. The job of a catalog specialist is to affect changes on Amazon.com. Typically, they're working with flat files in order to affect those changes. Someone needs to be data-oriented, high attention to detail. And then you need to be really persistent, because once you kind of upload those changes to Amazon, you need to kind of work with Amazon seller support to make sure that the changes go through, right? There might be some other contribution blocking. There may be some kind of like issue to make sure that your desired changes actually make their way onto Amazon, because they're no good if they're just in the back end. They're only valuable to you if they make their way to the front end. Also, some other really like underappreciated parts of catalog management is to limit what my friend Adam Weiler calls catalog rot. So catalog rot is when just over time, Amazon is making various changes to your listing that are not desired and are not good, and they don't tell you about it, right? So they may have separated one of your child ASINs away from the parent. They may have truncated your title. They may have changed one or more main images, secondary images, removed a bullet point, or changed your browse node. So now you're in a less appropriate browse node, or you've now lost alignment between your browse node, your general ledger, your product type, and you're not getting the right visibility in Amazon. Or there's just some other shadow ban issues. So there are a variety of things that could come up. For us, we have like cross-department conversations about this, but ultimately it's the catalog manager who needs to identify and eliminate catalog rot and ensure that your desired listings are always that way on Amazon.com. Obviously, logistics operations very focused on stock, making sure you maintain optimal stock levels, right? For us, for our brand and manufacturer partners, if it's small and light, typically that's 90 to 120 days in stock. Maybe it's as low as 75, as high as 135. And if your products are a little heavier and are therefore subject to higher storage fees or potentially long-term storage fees, you want to be a little more conservative, targeting somewhere between like 45 and 60, 75 days of stock. Or if you're totally oversized, we typically recommend FBM for that, because the storage fees are just like exorbitant. But the logistics operations manager is constantly looking at stock levels and just making sure that you need to reorder and looking at those timelines associated with the reorders and the restock in order to make sure that you're at those optimal stock levels pretty much at all times throughout the year. So taking into account up and coming holiday events, seasonality, things of that nature, right? So the operations manager needs to be looking at all that. And then one additional thing is making sure that the inventory spreads effectively throughout different FBA centers across the country, right? So I think that that's something that's not always done properly, but you need to ensure that you have good distribution so that you are eligible for 1 or 2 day shipping in as many places as possible, right? Because that directly affects your ranking, your conversion, everything like that. You want to make sure your inventory is pushed all the way to the East Coast for whatever reason, that your next upcoming shipment, you might want to push it to the West Coast, right? Because Amazon doesn't do as good job anymore of always spreading the inventory in an optimal way. So the jobs of logistics operations manager, also looking at reimbursements for us, is another big part of that role. But that in a nutshell is the logistics operations manager. They're kind of like working together as one team. So starting with the listing optimization specialist, the job of the listing optimization specialist is to start with market research, then keyword research, and avatar research to make sure they really understand the customer and the market, identifying like the most compelling keywords that are center of the target, seeding that into a listing with really strong copy, and then also making sure that the back-end data is aligned with that customer avatar, right? So like obviously, as an example, if you have a product that's for kids, you want to make sure that the back end indicates the correct age ranges in order to tell Amazon's AI, hey, this product is for this person. So you want to feed it as much information as possible. That's the listing optimization specialist role. And then the graphic designer's role is to, understand that target avatar, understand the listing and the key sort of selling points, understanding the social proof, and then creating the best possible image stack and A+ content that's on brand and is going to like hit on all those different things, right? They're kind of working in tandem to achieve that. And obviously your listing is like, there's really not much more importance on Amazon than your listing. You want to make sure that it's highly converting and that it's you're relevant for all your core keywords, and you don't go too broad. You stick to what the listing is actually for. You need someone who's going to create and manage your campaigns, manage bids on a weekly basis at least, and making sure to kind of keep a pulse on the market and identifying new keywords, identifying new competitors that you could target over time. And then always keeping a pulse of what your conversion rate is on certain keywords relative to the market, so you know what to push harder on. Because the PPC manager is sort of in charge of ranking and organic ranks, a lot of times that's how we will identify catalog issues. As I mentioned earlier, that's kind of like a cross-department function where you identify certain keywords that have kind of dropped off or tanked in ranking, and then you bring that over to the catalog team to figure out what on the listing side is triggering that, assuming that there's nothing glaring on the PPC side, right? There's been no drastic reduction in conversion rate, then that should go over to the catalog side. It may be you, right? You may be the entrepreneur behind your brand, and you need to go out there and constantly be on the pulse of like what's new on Amazon, what's working on Amazon, and sort of just have like the overall strategy, drive the overall strategy with your team of what needs to get done. Also making sure that your launches are coordinated between these different departments and it's done in a timely manner. Just making sure that the profit is always consistent and growing, right? So the strategic growth consultant or the entrepreneur needs to be like dialed in every single day to the profitability of the brand, each and every SKU, and just make sure that all your products are contributing as much as they possibly can to the bottom line, making sure that those tacos targets are in line and that PPC is contributing in a positive way. This video is getting a little long. I'm going to end it here. Hopefully some of that was helpful in terms of the different roles and responsibilities in an Amazon growth team. If you want to chat and discuss any of these in further details, you know where to find me. Go on our website, book a free consultation with me, and I'm happy to jam out with you on these different roles. Or if you have somebody on your team who you're thinking about assigning to a certain role and not quite sure, happy to strategize with you. So yeah, hopefully this video is helpful. I'll end it here. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck selling and growing on Amazon. Thank you.